They want Elon Musk gone, X turned off, and freedom of speech stamped out. Starmer himself has said he's going to look at social media laws in the wake of the riots and even revisit the Online Safety Act. And right on cue, of course, the Westminster elite are now circling. Guardian columnists got their knickers in a twist, saying Musk should be on trial in the UK for inciting the riots. And Keir Starmer's champagne socialist biographer, Tom Baldwin, called for regulation of social media platforms, even saying free speech was not absolute. Make no mistake, the minority racist idiots who caused the worst of these riots have opened the floodgates for a power grab of our civil liberties under this Labour government. And it's a crying shame that it's a US-based South African who's the only one with the balls to stick up for British citizens.
Starmer's world is rapidly collapsing. Simon Dansuk, a former Labour MP, has revealed shocking facts about his party. He claims that senior members of the Labour Party advised him not to disclose information about those behind the groomer gangs for fear of losing votes. This suggests that they cared more about their career interests than about protecting their children. Dansuk did not limit himself to general phrases and named specific names. Tony Lloyd, the then leader of the Parliamentary Labour Party, was one of those who insisted on silence. Dansuk said that senior politicians had asked him not to mention the ethnicity or religious bias of the perpetrators, arguing that this would negatively affect the elections. Lloyd repeatedly urged him to remain silent, even in private meetings. Another senior MP, Jim Dobbin, also gave him similar advice. The situation is aggravated by the fact that at that time Starmer was the head of the Crown Prosecution Service.
I think we all had a smile on Sunday when the honourable member said how cool it was to have the support of Musk, only for Musk to say he should be removed. Just a few hours later, that's the rough and tough of politics. And of course, we're looking at the question of funding more generally.
While the Labour Party was trying to cover up information about the crimes, Starmer was responsible for investigating them. Now he is being criticised for ineffective actions. Dansuk faced this problem when he became a deputy in 2010, and for 3 years he struggled with child abuse, including grooming cases. Instead of receiving support from the party, he was instructed to remain silent. This is not just a political mess, but a cover-up of serious crimes against children, and Starmer found himself at the centre of this scandal. People claim that he became part of the problem when the justice system failed children while in office. Given that the Labour Party was ordered to remain silent, and Starmer, as responsible for the prosecution, did not take the necessary action, it is not surprising that his ratings are falling. How can you trust a man who was supposed to protect vulnerable children, but seems to have become part of a system that failed them? This scandal has attracted the attention of many, including Elon Musk, who usually discusses electric cars and rockets, but now actively intervenes in British politics. Musk harshly criticises Starmer, demanding his resignation.
Right, let's crack on with the main news today, because the government's counter-extremism unit is currently monitoring tweets by Elon Musk.
Well, the move follows the tech billionaire's recent criticisms of the government and its senior ministers.
Most notably safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips, who's accused him of endangering her through his social media posts.
That's after she faced personal criticisms from him over the grooming rape gangs scandal.
Meanwhile, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has jumped on a plane. This time she's gone to China.
She's set to restart trade and investment talks, but that's despite government borrowing costs surging to their highest level in 27 years.
Elon Musk isn't just expressing his thoughts, he's starting a real fire. He posted a loud message on his X platform demanding that Starmer be imprisoned, and this is just the beginning. Musk makes serious accusations, claiming that Starmer is involved in violence in Britain and calls him a disgrace to the nation. Why is he speaking out so fiercely? Because Starmer was the head of the Crown Prosecution Service between 2008 and 2013, when many gangland cases were simply ignored or hushed up. Musk actually blames him for the fact that these terrible crimes were left without proper investigation. But that's not all. Musk doesn't stop at Starmer, he's challenging the entire government. He even wonders if it's time for America to liberate the British people from a tyrannical regime. Can you believe it? He clearly considers himself Britain's political savior, and that sounds crazy. Musk spares no one, including other politicians such as Jess Phillips, the Minister of the Environment. He hints that her reluctance to investigate groomer gangs is related to Starmer's past.
On the question of Elon Musk, look, I think most people are more interested in what's going to happen to the NHS, frankly, than what's happening on Twitter. Child sexual exploitation is utterly sickening. Utterly sickening. And for many, many years, too many victims have been completely let down let down by perverse ideas about community relations, or by the idea that institutions must be protected above all else. And they've not been listened to and they've not been heard. Those that are spreading lies and misinformation as far and as wide as possible, they're not interested in victims. They're interested in themselves. Those who are cheerleading Tommy Robinson are interested.
All this is happening against the background of the fact that the Labour Party has blocked a national public inquiry into the groomer scandal. People are furious and Musk is using that anger to his advantage. What started as the Starmer scandal has now become an international event, where one of the richest men in the world is demanding that the British Prime Minister be put behind bars. It's just crazy, and for Starmer, it's not going to end anytime soon. Musk has a huge platform and he actively uses it to keep this story in plain sight. But here's what's really shocking. The victims of the Rotherham scandal are supporting him. Yes, you heard right. People who have experienced this terrible violence say that Musk is on the right track. Sammy Woodhouse, one of the main whistleblowers, praises Musk for his courage in matters concerning groomer gangs. End of chapter 3. That she doesn't just thank him, she claims that he has done more to raise awareness than anyone else in British history.
In justice. They're supporting a man who went to prison for nearly collapsing a grooming case, a gang grooming case. These are people who are trying to get some kind of vicarious thrill from street violence that people like Tommy Robinson promote. And those attacking Jess Phillips, who I'm proud to call a colleague and a friend, not protecting victims. Jess Phillips has done 1,000 times more than they've even dreamt about when it comes to protecting victims of sexual abuse throughout her entire career. But when the poison of the far right leads to serious threats to Jess Phillips and others.
And it's not just Woodhouse. Other victims are also speaking out, claiming that Musk is finally giving them the opportunity to be heard after years of being ignored. These people have suffered terribly and are now accusing Starmer of what he did or didn't do when he was head of the Crown Prosecution Service. Woodhouse even urges Musk's critics to pull themselves together and grow up, emphasizing that by forgetting about political squabbles, this man is really helping them. These victims don't care about politics, they just want justice and for someone to listen to them. This is all crazy. Victims of abuse praise the controversial billionaire for doing more for them than their own government. The Prime Minister is being blamed for how he handled these crimes in the past, and more people are demanding answers. This is a real battle for justice, and it's just beginning.
I think Starmer absolutely knew before the debate about the Bowler letter and what it said, and took a deliberate decision, which he's done before. I'll give you the example. I think he just let Sunak repeat it over and over and over again, effectively let him hang himself with it.
Yeah.
Because now the letter's come out this morning, the Bowler letter.
That's interesting.
And now Labour can say, look, they are proven liars.
So it's more of a zinger this morning than it would have been if he'd pulled it out of his pocket last night.
He looked, maybe to certain people last night, he looked like he didn't have the ammunition to immediately rebut the £2,000 allegation. And certainly some people have been saying that. But I think it was more than that. I think he knew. And it's a loyalty tactic, James. We all do it.
The MPs claimed that Starmer is trying to smear those who demand a national investigation into this shocking scandal. The Prime Minister is actually opposing the investigation, giving the impression that he is desperately trying to control a situation that is eluding him. Robert Jenrick, a Conservative MP, openly criticises Starmer, claiming that he calls everyone who advocates an investigation far right. Jenrick bitterly emphasises that millions of people are demanding justice and answers for thousands of young girls who have been victims of violence, and he's absolutely right. Jenrick also notes that the calls for an investigation are not coming from any radicals, but from ordinary people, parents who are furious to learn what happened to their children. It's not just words, it's a cry from the soul. Here's what's amazing. The Starmer government has conducted more than 60 inspections since it came to power, but none of them address the groomer gang problem. Jenrick asks why this is happening, but does not get a clear answer. Other deputies are also starting to actively speak out. Kemi Badenoch demands a new investigation to find out how such monstrous abuses could have happened. Chris Philp calls Starmer's refusal to meet these demands shameful. See you later.